Hello, everybody, and welcome to On the Table, one of the official sports shows here of the JT Sports Network. I'm James Torillo here with Tyrese Pierre. We are very excited for the show. We are very excited to give you guys the content you deserve. Tyrese, how we doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm actually excited. This is the very first episode, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming for both of us.
It has.
We planned this out, and finally it's coming to fruition. I'm just very happy to do this.
It is, and there's a lot to talk about as well going on in the sports world. There's a lot going on with the MLB. There's a lot going on with boxing. But if you want to start out with the MLB, I need to get something off my chest because I'm just going to be honest. You're already laughing at me, but I'm an old head, okay?
Same here.
I am. I absolutely despise the fact that the MLB is using robot umpires for the 2026 season. To me, I can't stand it. I always talk to my grandfather about this, who's a diehard Yankee fan. Obviously, I'm a Dodger fan, if you couldn't tell. But I absolutely can't stand the fact that they're doing this because I hate when they change the game. I hate it. It drives me crazy. I don't know how you feel about it, but I just don't like any rules that change the game, whether it benefits the game or it doesn't. To me, stop changing the game. Baseball's been the same for 160 years. Why are we changing the sport?
I agree. To be very honest, I don't think there's any need for any changes. I mean, robot umpires. What? Robot umpires. I mean, literally, this is what it says here. Automated ball strike challenge system. The rules are that each team will get 2 challenges and can keep them if they are successful, and challenges can be initiated by a pitcher, batter, and catcher, etc. What is the point of having umpires if they're going to implement this? Okay?
The only thing I can think of and that I can get behind is that there are a lot of missed calls in the MLB. There are. And it's almost every night I find myself going to or watching a game and I'm sitting there going, come on, that's 6 inches off the plate. That's 6 inches outside. What are we doing? But that's part of the game. I hate to say it.
It sucks.
But it's in 5 years from now, I guarantee you there's going to be people, Tyrese, that are going to look back on it and kind of say, like, I miss when, not every single ball or strike was exactly perfect. And, sometimes if a pitcher was throwing a good game, maybe he'd get a good call that was just a little bit off the outside corner. Or maybe he got a pitch that was a really nice curve, drops down right below the zone, he gets a strike 3 call, but the batter goes, nope, review. That was actually 0.2 centimeters off the imaginary box that you guys have on your ESPN broadcast. So now it's a ball. I don't like it. I'm sorry. And I said the same thing about several rule changes in the past few years in the MLB. The torpedo bats, I was never a fan of those. Baseball's been a thing for over 150 years, and now we're changing the shape of a baseball bat.
And that's only the top of it. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, why are we changing this stuff? I don't understand the thought process behind Rob Manfred and everyone else in charge. I don't get it. I'm not a fan. I know I'm kind of, besides you and me, I think I'm on my own on this one because almost everyone I've talked to is like, oh, it's about time they have robot umpires.
I don't
like it. I'm sorry. I think you should be able to review several things that you can't review in baseball. Fine. But let's stop changing the entire sport because now umpires are basically going to be out of their jobs and their opinion doesn't even matter anymore because if they're wrong, it doesn't matter because they're just going to review and say, oh, actually it was this.
That's a shame. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I don't think you're alone on this one. I agree. I agree that there is no need for robot umpires because, in my honest opinion, everyone, it sounds completely stupid. It sounds stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, umpires are going to be out of their jobs and their opinions don't even matter anymore. It's a shame.
I think if you were to have robot officials for any sport, if you want to call it that, I don't think baseball should be the first one that we should be talking about. I would rather have them in football because you think about it. Let's talk about, this is going to really get me pissed off here, but the tush push, let's talk about
The
it.
tush push.
4th and 2, 4th and 1.5 yards. They're pushing them. The ball is spotted in between 22 guys piled on top of each other. You don't know where the ball is. Now, if we had something maybe tracking the ball inside of the ball or some sort of technology that we could use to see where exactly the ball was when Jalen Hurts' knee went down, I would rather have that than to see where exactly the ball was over the plate in baseball. I think it would be better for first downs and touchdowns or wherever you need to spot the ball. I think it would be better for that than you using it in baseball.
That actually makes sense. That makes sense. I can't help but agree.
Yeah.
I have to agree on that.
I'll never understand why you see it in tennis. They have the system where they can see exactly where the ball was on the side of the line. And if there was any room in between the ball and the line to see if the ball was in or out, and you can hear the crowd reacting to it because they show it on the big screen in the stadium, why not have that for football? Why not have something tracking the football where, you have the football and the first down marker, and you can see where exactly the ball was when the player's knee went down?
I agree.
I think that would be better. A system like that is more important in that sport than it is for baseball.
And there's also something like that in soccer or football, however you want to call it, VAR, Video Assistant Referee. It's been implemented in many of the leagues all over the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
It also works as well, for example, like you said, when it comes to first downs, touchdowns, it's the same with soccer. For example, let's say a person's running in towards the box, trying to score a goal, and all of a sudden, one player gets laid out. In the penalty area, they could check whether he is actually tackled and is deserving of a penalty or he was just flopping.
Right.
That's the same thing. Like you said, that should be in football.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that they have in soccer, but the difference is it's not like a whole robot on the field or anything like that. I'm sorry, the idea of having a robot umpire in baseball just sounds completely stupid.
Yeah.
It's
And
stupid.
thankfully, it's not a thing until 2026, and there is a lot of baseball left to be played in 2025 because we're getting to the most important part of the season, which is
wild
the
card.
MLB postseason. And we have several teams trying to fight for that last spot in either the American League or the National League. Right now, in the National League, you have teams like the Reds, you have teams like the Mets, you have teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks who are fighting for that last spot. Right now, the Mets are 1 game ahead of the Reds and the Diamondbacks for that last spot. The Dodgers play the Diamondbacks today. If the Dodgers win, they clinch the National League West, and the Diamondbacks are trying to fight for that last wildcard spot. They cannot win their division, but they're a game behind Cincinnati and the Mets. So it's going to be a very tight race. And then in the American League, you have the Astros, who were winning their division, it felt like all year long, are not in a playoff spot right now. They are a game behind the Tigers for the last American League wildcard spot. And the Tigers, we have to talk about it, Tyrese. They had a double-digit lead for the division ahead of the Guardians in September, and they are no longer in first place. The Guardians have passed them by a game.
Oh my God.
If
really?
the Tigers do not win their division, this will be the biggest choke job for a division title in baseball history.
Wow.
It's crazy, and I don't hear enough people talking about it because the Tigers were considered the best team in baseball if you look back to June, July. People would tell you, Tiger fans would tell you they're the best team in baseball. They might not make the playoffs. Right now, they are 85-73, 12 games above 500. They were once over 20 games over 500. They're now only 13. Or 12, excuse me.
Meanwhile, they're playing against the Cleveland Guardians, who are currently 86-72. So
Game ahead of them.
yeah, they're one game ahead of them, just like you said. And to be honest, I feel like it's anyone's ball game.
Yeah.
It's anyone's ball game tonight.
Now, I said before the season started on one of my podcast episodes, I said that the Royals and Dodgers would play each other in the World Series. Obviously, it was not the Royals' year. They're currently 79-79. They are eliminated from playoff contention. I thought they would be a better team than what they were. I thought Bobby Witt Jr. was going to have an AL MVP season. Unfortunately, didn't quite happen. But if I could redo my prediction, I have to stay loyal in the National League with my Dodgers. But in the American League, Tyrese, I think we're getting a rematch of last year.
World Series,
I think we're getting a World Series rematch.
Yankees
I'm
and
calling it
Dodgers.
right now. The Yankees and Dodgers will play each other in the World Series for the second year in a row. After it not happening for 43 years, it'll happen 2 years in a row. That's my take.
I'm looking forward to that. I would love to see that.
Because
Love to.
if I look in the American League, there are not enough teams with playoff experience like the Yankees do. The Yankees finally got over the hump and finally won an AL pennant last year. They just ran into a very good team, and I'm not saying this because I bleed Dodger blue. I'm saying this because the Dodgers were the best team in baseball last year. They ran into the best team, and the Dodgers took care of them in 5. However, the Yankees finally got over the hump of making it to the World Series, which they hadn't done since 2009. Now, you look at the American League once again. If the Astros don't make the playoffs, I don't see any team, maybe besides Boston in the wild card round, taking down the Yankees in a series. I think if the Yankees can get past, let's say the Yankees don't win their division, because right now they're tied for the division lead with Toronto. If they don't win their division and they have to play a 3-game wild card against the Boston Red Sox in Yankee Stadium, if they win that series, the Yankees will go to the World Series. I don't see any other team beating them in a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series. That team is deep. That team is good. I don't see a team like Toronto with little playoff experience taking them down in a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series. Right now in the Central, who the heck knows what's going on, because the Guardians and Tigers are fighting for the division. Tigers might not make the playoffs. They have not been hot. The Guardians, maybe, but the Yankees have had the Guardians number in the playoffs almost every year since, 2017?
My gosh.
I don't see any team besides maybe Boston taking down the Yankees in the postseason out of the American League. I think the Yankees go back-to-back as American League champions. And look, you know me, I'm not a Yankees guy.
I know.
But I think the Yankees are going to win the pennant. And I think maybe if I'm a Dodger fan, I say something different, but I think the Dodgers figure it out. I think their bullpen figures it out right just in time for the postseason, and we get a rematch, Yankees-Dodgers, in the World Series once again.
That's not gonna lie, you spoke a lot of truth there. A lot of truth. I can't argue with anything that you've said. I mean, everything has been completely spot on. I'm really looking forward to the postseason.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, what do you think about the Mariners? I mean, they're aiming to make and win their first World Series after stumbling late in the summer.
Seattle's hot right now. I thought for sure Houston would win that division once again. I thought if anybody was going to give them a hard time for that division, I thought it was going to be Texas. They're eliminated from playoff contention. I had the Mariners being a wild card team, maybe a first or second round exit in the postseason this year. The Mariners are better than I expected, because the last few years I've been high on them. I say, oh, this is finally going to be the year where they win their division or they make it to the ALCS and they really make a push for it. This year I was like, I can't do it again. I can't put my money on the Mariners again. But this could be the year that the Mariners finally come out of the American League. But I don't think they have what it takes to beat the Yankees. I think if you look at the teams in the American League that are making the playoffs right now, can the Mariners beat the Blue Jays in a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series? Yes, I think they can. Can they beat the Guardians in a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series? Yes, I think they can. Can they beat the Tigers? Can they beat the Astros? Can they beat the Red Sox? Yes, I think they can. But unfortunately, I don't see a world where the Mariners take down the Yankees in a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series and they come out of the American League. Could this be a good momentum shift for the Mariners into 2026? Could the Mariners be a team to not be messed with in the late 2020s? Yes. They have a lot of great young talent on that team. Cal Riley has proved that he is the best offensive catcher in baseball, the best season a catcher has ever had at the plate overall. But baseball is not a one-man sport. Ask Mike Trout. So I don't see a world where the Mariners make it out of the American League. I'm sorry. I don't.
Really?
I don't. Do you?
I'm half and half on this one. I really don't know. But let's see. Let's see what happens. So, last before we move on, the Milwaukee Brewers.
This is a team that is just been on fire all season long. This was a team where last year they get bounced in the wild card round by the Mets, right? And you're thinking, all right, this team makes it to the playoffs every year. They only win their division every year because their division stinks. That's the truth. But then you go to this year, and it's one of the better divisions in the National League, and they're the 1 seed right now. They have the best record in the National League. So you can't say that, oh, the Brewers are only one of the top seeds because, their division isn't very good. You have Chicago competing in that division, and the Brewers have the best record in the National League. I would be surprised if this team doesn't make it to that LCS.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is something.
Yeah.
That is something. So we covered the playoffs. Well, let's go back a little bit further. Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I'm going to flip for a moment. Okay.
I know you have some strong opinions about this topic.
Is this degrading to the sport? Yes, it is. It's a complete disgrace. And here's why. We're talking about one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in his division. We went from a blockbuster fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford to Tank Davis and Jake Paul. What are we doing? What are we doing? His last fight, Paul's last fight, was against a near 60-year-old Mike Tyson. Which raises the question, will serious fighters continue to chase money with big-name amateurs? That's the question that is on my mind right now, because I'm just going to be honest. This fight should not happen. Unfortunately, it is happening. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be where the Heat is going to play. Obviously. We're talking about one of the biggest, most decorated pound-for-pound fighters going up against a complete and utter con artist. He is nothing more than a con artist. I'm sorry. It's just, I've seen his fights. And let's be honest, Davis has a way better track record than Paul. Jake Paul has 12 wins, 1 loss with 7 knockouts. And only 1 loss by split decision to Tommy Fury. Tank, however, 30 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses. 28 with KOs, and 2 of those wins in that record are by split decision. Obviously, I'm going to give my prediction. Tank destroys Jake Paul. Destroys Jake Paul. Literally.
Now, Tyrese, the whole thing about Jake Paul, his whole boxing career, has been that he does not fight real fighters.
And that's
right?
the truth.
And it is the truth. Maybe that's why he's 12-1 with 7 knockouts, and he only has 1 loss. That might be why. But would you consider him now fighting a real fighter?
Would I consider him?
Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Is Jake Paul finally facing a real fighter?
He's finally facing a real fighter, but...
So, if he's facing a real fighter now, then why is this a disgrace to the sport? He's finally doing what everyone's asking him to do. I mean,
you got a point.
Everybody has been tearing Jake Paul apart for fighting guys that are in their 60s, for fighting guys that are retired, for fighting guys that aren't very good but are just big names. And people have torn him apart for it his whole career, and he's been trying to be a full-time boxer for his career. And this is it right here. This is his big test. Because what happens? What happens, Tyrese, if Jake Paul wins? What happens if Jake Paul wins? He goes in,
You know what?
he takes down Tank Davis. Tank Davis suffers his first loss, and it's to Jake Paul. What do we do then?
Obviously, it's going to be a big blow to Davis's career.
Big blow to Davis's career. It's going to be even bigger for Jake Paul's career because people are now going to say that he is a real boxer. He just took down Tank Davis, gave him his first loss of his career. He's a real boxer now. And even if let's say Jake Paul doesn't win this fight, as long as he doesn't get knocked out early and he shows up and he gives 110% and he makes a name for himself in this fight, you have to consider Jake Paul a real boxer. I'm sorry. You have to. I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to. I know nobody wants to. But you have to. If he shows up and he puts up a fight against Tank Davis, you have to admit Jake Paul is a real boxer.
I beg to differ, but
Why?
I really wish I could, but I can't argue with this one because you laid out the possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities. What if Jake all of a sudden does give Tank Davis his first loss, or what if Tank takes him out early?
I'm not sitting here saying I think Jake Paul is going to win this fight. I'm saying what if he does? Nobody thinks he's going to win this fight because he's finally fighting a real fighter. But what if he does?
That's
Everybody
the big question.
Has to shut up because this guy's a real fighter if he wins this fight.
Myself
This is bigger for Jake Paul's career than it is for Tank Davis.
You do have a point. And you know what? If he does win, I'll take back everything I said. I'll be glad to. 100%.
Okay. So do you think Jake Paul's going to make you eat your own words, or? I know it's hard, dude. It's hard. Look, there's been times on different podcasts here at the JT Sports Network that I have said things that backfired. I said a year ago, Jalen Hurts will